our plan. And then I will talk about three things. First is the woman, the child, and the dragon. Okay. And the second thing is knowing this, what we have to do with the saints. And I'll talk about a few applications. Okay. Where's the PPT? PowerPoint? Okay. All right. Thank you. No, actually, where's the... And also, Michelle Peter Kim sent us an urgent prayer for Kiev. But things settled down, so I'm not going to. Yeah, so where's another PowerPoint I gave to you? Friday? Okay. All right, so let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for Jesus. And please help us to listen to you and also learn what it means to know and show us the revelation of Jesus Christ. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. So, okay, first is the woman and the child and the dragon, okay? So, if you look at chapter 12, it says, okay, a great sign appeared in heaven, and woman clothed with the sun, with moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant and was crying out in birth pains and the agony of giving birth. And another sign appeared in heaven beyond, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. On his heads 7 diadems. Okay. All right, so here the revelation of Jesus Christ is revealing. Okay, so and also the child is there, and the red dragon is trying to kill the child. Okay. All right, so when you look at this kind of text, as I said, the first assumption I made is that this text is trying to reveal Jesus Christ, right? And where do you see woman and the child and all this kind of conflict, dragons trying to kill the child and this kind of things? Where do you see it in the Bible? So we are all biblical scholars, right? And then the first thing that appeared in the Bible is in Genesis. So I'll just go back to Genesis and explain the context. And somebody told me, gave me a challenge, you know, how you're going to read the Bible. And Bible is not just 66 books that are disjoined, but has a theme, okay? And how you put the themes together. And then Bible talks about the God who created heavens and earth. And then it was very good. And then chapter 3, man has some different ideas, okay? So Adam said, maybe I can do better than God. I don't need God. Maybe I can be like God, and I will do my own way. Okay? And then he brought a relationship with God, and he tried to do by himself. Right? And he sinned against God. And then because of his sin, God came to him and cursed the ground, and all kinds of evil things happened. So we believe that story. And one of the most important verses in Genesis, in the Bible, in my mind, is Genesis chapter 3, 15. Let's look at it. Let's look at the Genesis. The first book, Genesis chapter 3, 15. And the devil came to woman, and then they tempted them, that they sinned against God. And Genesis chapter 3, 15 says like this: I will put enmity between you and the woman. So between your offspring and her offspring. She shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. So, and if you look at the NIV translation, crush Satan's head, and he'll strike the heel. Right? So, when you read the Bible, this theme is repeated again and again. Right? So, we are living in a conflict. There is a spiritual war going on between the offspring of woman and also the offspring of the Satan who tempted woman. Right? And God says, I have a plan for you. I will raise one offspring, a child will come, and he will crush the head of Satan. And then you, the descendant of the Satan will bruise his heel. Okay? Alright. So if you want to get hit, where do you want to get hit? Okay? Heels or the head? Okay? How about Jerry? What?
Heels.
Why?
Head is. I can die if I.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's great. So this is the God's promise. He, the one who will come and crush the head of Satan. Okay. Right? So if you look at the Bible with that lens, okay, that context, if you look at it, and then if you look at God's people after they sinned, God's people was not doing so well because there are so many, they are healed or bruised many times, right? And then they are suffering, and then Satan cannot really kill them. But when Jesus came, it's very paradoxical because it seems like the dragon won the day because he, with other people, crucified Jesus. Right? It seems like they crushed the woman's child, right? But it was not because God raised him from the dead, and then he freed him from the agony of death because death was no longer had dominion over him. So we believe, the Christians believe that God raised Jesus, and then by letting Jesus allowed the Satan to bruise his heel, but on the other hand, he crushed the Satan's head by resurrection. So Revelation chapter 1:15 says, to him who loves us and freed us from our sins by his blood and made us kingdom and priests. So we believe that story is continuing. And then if you go to chapter 12, we see it. The dragon came and tried to kill the child, but God spared him and raised him up to heaven. And this dragon is hurled into the earth, and we will see it at the end that this dragon will be destroyed. So this is the theme of the Bible, and then how we look at the Word, it's very important. And then this verse gives you one of the most important encouragement, because number one, who is the victor? Who is the victor? Who has the final victory? Andrew? Jesus. Jesus. Okay. So, that's good. So, come to me after the whole service. I'll give you one chocolate. Okay, that's good. Jesus. Okay. I got lots of chocolates. Okay. Ready? All right. Jesus. Okay. So we know this biblical story. Okay. And then knowing this story, and then the author of the Revelation tell us what to do. Okay. So when you read a book or any textbook, especially Bible, if you look at the Bible, and then where do you get the main point? Okay, I taught you one word that you should really pay attention. What was that? Therefore. Therefore, okay. Mr. Yun is very good student, okay? So, whenever you say therefore, then, oh, it's very important, okay? Therefore means it's very important. It's conclusion. Yeah, he's making conclusion, okay? So, therefore, okay? Another way is what? About more studious student guys, children. When you read something, and then if you read some textbook, okay, the Portinus method, that's dangerous. You'll never get an A student, but B student, okay? You get the main point, okay? That's good. So I taught you two things, okay? You look at the introduction and conclusion, okay? That's the main point, okay? That's it, right? And also, whenever you say therefore, like you stop and then think about it, okay? And what's before, right? You look at the arguments. And then another thing that you should really pay attention when you read the Bible, okay? Are you ready? Can I tell you? Can I tell you? Ryan, ready? When the same thing repeats. Okay? So, think about it. God wrote this book, and he wants to write many things, okay? But I believe when it's important, okay, he repeats. Right? And then if you look at chapter 12 through 15, there are one phrase that are repeated twice. What is that? Anybody know? Okay, I'll give it to you. It's in chapter 13 and chapter 14, okay? The meat of the, okay? And then here's like this. Here's a call, okay? In chapter 13, 10, verse 10, okay? Here is a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. Right? So this is also repeated in chapter 14, 12. Here is a call for the endurance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus Christ. Okay? So he gave us all these things, okay? And then the author of Revelation says, this is a call, right? To have saints have endurance and faith, right? So, I'll talk about three things: endurance, saints, and faith. They all go together. They're all related. Right? So, he gives you the picture of what's going to happen at the end. The final victory belongs to God. And then he said to 7 churches, these are called for you to what? Right? For the saints, endurance of the saints and have faith. Okay? That's good. So I'm so happy to see Nicodemus. Okay? Okay. So, good morning. Okay. So we have this conceptual idea, okay? And then everyone knows that we know. You don't have to tell you that justice will win out, okay? They will have a final justice. People can be smart, okay? They can be smart, and then they do all kinds of, some strange stuff. But we believe there will be final correction. So it's always like a correction, okay? In economic terms, okay? Mr. Yun studied economics. There is always a final correction, okay? The market will correct, okay? We know that, right? because you cannot, right? We believe the market will crack. The supply and demand is low, okay? And then we believe that Jesus will crack the whole world, okay? And he is a victor. So we know this, okay? And then there's a severe consequences of what you do, that's very obvious, okay? Intrinsically, we know that. So we as a Christian, we know what? We know that Jesus is the victor, and Jesus overcame the death, the last enemy, and rose from there. We have this good news. Okay, knowing this good news, what does it mean to you? So John says, here is your call for the saints to have endurance and faith. Okay, let's go to that one. Okay, that's very important concept. Okay, please, endurance and faith. Okay, and then you might ask, I think the endurance is when you think about endurance, what kind of image you have? Endurance is like, it's not a good, you don't talk about that. Oh, I have to endure this professor, okay? This boring lecture. So it's not a good word, okay? In modern term, okay? But it is one of the secret of your happiness and blessing, okay? The Bible talks about those who endure, those who take a deep root in the Word of God, and then those who stay and go to Jesus, it's called blessed man. Okay? So I talk about our father Abraham. Okay. Father Abraham heard the call of God, and then he was so happy because God promised him, "You'll be blessed. All people on earth will be blessed." Okay. And then he followed Jesus to God, and then he left his country and moved around. And then for a long time, he endured. Okay, he is a man of endurance. He endured, and then afterward he got burned out because God, I followed you. I did not like other people, but I hear your voice and follow. And then Abraham said, "What do I get? You promised a son, and I don't get any son." Right? So nothing happened. Okay? And then God took him to outside, and then he told Abraham, "Look at this, pick up the stars, count the stars. Your offspring will be as numerous as the stars in the sky." This is a very big promise. So how many stars do we have? Who can count the stars? Nobody can count stars. Okay? We have so many stars. And the human limitation is full. So Abraham, he looked at it. So likewise, this is a faith of endurance, to have endurance. Because you have to see the end result to have endurance. And then I know one doctor, one summer he worked at the nurse assistant, okay? And then he had the worst job to have because he had to change diapers and an old man, and it's bad, and he didn't get paid. But he knew that this is the way to get into medical school. And then if you do volunteer, then the payback is high, And he said, I'll do that. And then he can endure that. And he saw that the day he graduated and make a living. Okay? And he was very, very happy to do that work. Without knowing who's going to win and what's going to happen, you cannot endure. Right? And then there is another story. Okay? There is another story. There are two sons, and there's a father. Younger son cannot endure. So he took off. He went to Las Vegas, okay? He took off, right? And then he got all the father's money and took off. So he had no endurance. It seems like the older son has endurance because he stayed with his father, and then he worked very hard And then when the younger son came back, and the older son said to his father, hey, I endured. I slaved for you, okay? But you don't give me nothing. Right? So he endured, but his endurance was not based on what? Love for the Father, but love for the Word of God, and his obligation. Right? So he endured, but his endurance was not right. So in Christian endurance, we endure because God promised us the final victory. God, who said to Adam, who failed miserably, and gave him the hope. Your seed, your offspring, will crush the head of Satan. And but you will be, your descendants will be hurt a little bit. But that's not the fatal, right? So this is the theme of the Bible. And when you look at this, then we can endure. And then we can endure because the Revelation says, to whom who loves us and who has freed us from our sins by his blood. And if you think about that, we can endure. Right? And even Jesus needs this kind of endurance. Okay? And then if you look at the Hebrews chapter 12, let's go to Hebrews chapter 12. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 12. Hebrew is after what? After Titus. Okay, Timothy, Titus, and chapter 12. And let me tell you how Jesus endured and won the victory. Okay. And Hebrews chapter 11 talks about all the men of faith who had a faith in God. And then chapter 12 starts with what word? Therefore, okay, then you pay attention, okay? Whenever you have therefore, you pay attention. Therefore, okay? This is the point. Therefore, this is the point. So 11 is illustration, and then the meat of conclusion comes in 12, okay? Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and seated at the right hand of the throne of God. We ask, how can Jesus can endure the cross? And how can Jesus endure the humiliation? Because he had joy. He had the joy set before God. We have the joy set before God because God said to us, if you trust me, I will crush the head of Satan. And we believe that Jesus has crushed the head of Satan. And this is joy. And then Jesus said before him, endured the cross, despised the shame, and he sits at the right hand of the throne of God. So this is the endurance of the saints. Right? Saints, okay. Saints, so when you think about saints, we think about Catholic saints, okay? Like a Mother Teresa, okay? Saints. Should be a saint very soon, right? But then if you want to be a saint, in Catholic thought, you have the 3 miracles, and then you have to approve by listing, and then they'll do extensive background checking, okay? But in Christian terms, saints are those who have faith and endurance of Jesus Christ. So, in some way, we are all saints. So the Bible is very clear. When we look at people, we have to say, you are saints because you made confession of faith, and you decide to follow endurance, knowing the joy of Jesus, and that the final victory that is promised to us, okay? And how can we practice us? How can we practice this? So, when you look at this world, the gospel we have to really think about the gospel. Okay? The gospel declares that you are saints. You are loved by God, and what? Freed from the power of sin by His blood. Right? So this gospel comes to you clearly when you sin. You do not despair, because gospel is not about you, but what Jesus has done for you. Right? So in your sin, you can have this victorious, And then also at the same time, when you do well, we say, hey, it is by the grace of Jesus I'm doing well. So it can be like Apostle Paul. By the grace of God, I'm what I am. I work harder than all of them, yet than I. The grace of God that was with me. So we can have this good news. Right? When the things goes well, we glorify God. When the things goes bad, we say, Jesus has overcome. And I can overcome. Right? And I can do it. So this is one of that's the real encouragement for you. Right? So we can practice that. And also we can practice how people look at it. Okay? People look at the person, because for me, I'm very skeptical, because I study science and I believe when I see something. Okay? And you have to prove to me that you are faithful, or you have to prove to me that you are good. But for me, I always struggle with this, because how can I trust people? They said I'm Christian, but they do some wrong way, okay? Some weird things, okay? That means I said you're not Christian. But that's not true, because if that's the case, then nobody can measure up to God's standard, and we have some problem, okay? That means I set my standard, and I look at people, and I say, oh, this is good, and this is bad, and separate. But when I look at the gospel, it says, even whatever you do, God has hope on you, and you have Him. And also that's very good for me, and you should pray for me. So that, should I believe the gospel, or my way of looking at things? And then this is the difficult struggle that you have to do. But we believe that God is the victor. And we do not endure it because it's a good thing to do, because we have joy to give us. So this joy comes looking at the cross of Jesus. And then after you look at Jesus, then you can have more faith on people. Okay? So we can put the things put the past behind, and we can go forward. And we can help and do stuff. So today we start with the woman and the child and dragon. Okay? And then this will trigger you to look at the Genesis instance. Okay? And then this child, I believe, is Jesus Christ, who crushed the head of Satan. Right? And then after you know the good news, then what shall we do? How we can live? Then we ask for God for the endurance that comes knowing the joy of Jesus. Okay? Knowing that Jesus won the victory, the joy, and that He will be with Jesus, the joy, accepted for us. And then we can have faith. Faith in God, and also not to skeptical of other people when they think that, and then we can also share the good news to people so that their endurance can also increase by knowing the good news of God, and then knowing the grace of Jesus, and then we can have faith in Jesus. Okay? Are you okay? Or any questions? Okay, I'll end up with one story. Okay, this is my favorite story. And then,